tech blogger, and I got my hands on the Galaxy Note 5 to do a little brief review. So one of the biggest changes, or the most crucial changes for the Note 5, being a big device, they curved the back, and that makes it much easier to hold in the hand. I can already tell this is way easier to hold than the Note 4 and the Note 3. Let's go for comfort level. I'm going to give this comfort level at least 9 out of 10 in comparison to the Note 4 and Note 3. And I'm going to say that makes a huge difference because holding the phone is something you do all the time. I can't stress that enough. Holding the phone is basically the phone's purpose. So how comfortable it is extremely important, especially to me. So for someone who has relatively small hands, holding such a big device, a curved edge can actually turn it into your favor. For me personally, I think 5-inch devices are like the maximum for at least my hand. 5.2 would be pushing it. Anything above that for me is way too big. I was surprised holding the Note 5 because I've held the Note 4, the Note 4 Edge, I've held the S6, the S6 Edge, and I have to say that the Note 5 doesn't feel as big as it shows on paper. It definitely feels much smaller. So that's something great. So if you weren't thinking of getting a Note because it's too big, maybe go into the store, just pick up one, play around with it just to see how it is, because the curved back does make quite a big of difference. I'm going to talk about, so the camera, Samsung has this new Pro mode. I believe it came up in the update that they had the shutter speed and aperture. Well, I'm not sure about aperture, but at least shutter speed, ISO, and all the manual settings that you wish to find in most cameras, like the LG G4, for example. And the controls, I don't know about the slider bar. They tried to do it like LG G4, or maybe they did it before, I'm not sure. But it's a little more rugged. I mean, in some sense it's good because it locks on to certain presets, but bad if you want to get it in between those presets. I find it a little troublesome to get it into between. I believe there's a maximum of 10 seconds on the shutter speed, and to get it to the 8 seconds in between the two presets, it took me at least 3 or 4 tries. So I find that a little bit tedious and not the best implementation on that sense for Samsung's devices. I'm also gonna say that the shutter speed control, when doing it, we did a test, and I'm gonna show you the pictures right now. So the darkroom test, almost like a standard now for us. It's daytime, but we shut down all the blinds, so it's pretty much dark. This is what it looks like. It looks pretty dim in there, barely any light. And we do 2 tests. The 2 tests are, one in auto mode, what it does normally, because most people like to point and shoot. And for those who are like us and like to use manual mode to its conveniences, like shutter speed and etc., we use a tripod naturally along with the shutter speed because there's a lot of movement and it shakes up quite a bit. So we want to get the best picture possible and try to push the potential for the camera phone to see how good can it go in that raw condition of just pure darkness. And in the 8 seconds, it looked like daytime for the LG G4, and it was pretty, again, I don't know, I've done the review before this and it's phenomenal. The shutter speed, even the automatic mode, did a fantastic job. Little noise, great detail, and for the most part the Note 5 had great detail in automatic mode. Brightness, maybe not as much, but still a fair bit of light gathered in and post-processing involved to get a pretty good shot. And it tries to keep true to the actual look of it, which is great as well. But in the shutter speed, when we put both of them to 8 seconds, the Samsung, I believe, had a higher ISO than the LG. I think the lowest preset is 50 on the LG G4 and 100 ISO for the Note 5. So in the 8 seconds, there seemed to be problem focusing. I'm not sure if it's the hardware lens or it's a software problem, but there seemed to be an orange tinge the first time around. So we did a second and actually third shoot. The second one came completely blurry, so we deleted that and we're not going to show that. And we did a second shoot just to make sure that this actually was maybe a glitch or maybe it was a one-time off. But it seems to be having a problem with the post-processing when using a longer exposure for the shutter speed. So that's a little bit of a downfall. Hopefully it's a software problem, not a hardware problem, and Samsung can release an update for that and fix that. So in conclusion, we had a couple hours to spend with the Note 5, and the first impressions are great. We didn't have much time, just a couple hours to spend with it. So this is just going to be focused mostly on the camera, and my first impression for the Note 5 is great. I think the revamp of the design for holding is perfect. The size is not too big, even though it is bigger than I would have liked, but the way they implemented it, I think it was great. The drawbacks on the manual mode for the shutter speed, not being able to cope with the software, I hope it's the software. That was the one drawback, but I think the camera overall is great. It just slides under the G4, not by much, but the G4 is still holding the reins right now. It's the best camera phone right now. And camera is something super important to me, so that's why I focus on that and not as much as the phone. Ergonomics, holding the phone is super important, and just the overall feel, because now everything is quad core, octa core, hexa core, and performance wise, it's not an issue. And going over specs, I think all reviewers do that, so I just wanted to give you an overview of why I do these reviews, so that you get a great idea of the camera and the review based on just normal usage. And I hope you liked it. Subscribe, comment, ask any questions you like. I currently own the G4, so if you want me to do any shoots or any tests against it, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to do my best to shoot out a video real fast on that. And stay tuned for the uploads for the 4K, believe I shot it in 2K uploads on the Note 5 for quality purposes, of course. And the more photo samples and more information you can check out on the blog on CTP. That'll be in the link in the description below. And yeah, that's basically it. So I'll see you after the next time. Peace!